Hey there, Sam. We're waiting for Crow. Oh, here he is.
Alrighty.
Hey there, Crow. Can you hear me okay?
There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's all straightened out.
hmm
There we go.
And I forget, did I do the prayer or did you last time, or did we? I think we did one at the end. I don't know.
I don't know if you want to go
We'll do
ahead.
that first before we get carried away. So I'll go ahead.
Yep.
Heavenly Father, I pray for the residents, council, and reeve of this rural municipality. I pray for the residents, councils, and mayors of the villages in this rural municipality. I pray for the residents, council, and mayor of the capital city of this province. I pray for the MLAs and the premier of this province. I pray for the people of this province. May we discern the truth, and may we stand up for what is right. I pray for the MPs and the Prime Minister of Canada. I pray for the people of Canada. May we discern the truth, and may we stand up for what is right. I pray for the Congress, Supreme Court, and President of the United States. I pray for the people of the United States. May we discern the truth, and may we stand up for what is right. I pray for the leaders of this world, and finally, Father, I pray for all the people of this world. May we discern the truth, and may we stand up for what is right. Amen.
Amen. So you'll like this. What I'm looking at on my screen right now is Trump's rally going on in Ohio.
Okay.
It's a crowd, buddy. It's a big crowd, and he's he's back. He's fired up. It's like I haven't watched all of it. I only got to watch a couple of minutes of it. But what first thing that I noticed was he's not regurgitating the information. Um, he's talking about new stuff, which is a big deal. And
Nice.
because the last couple of times that he's been seen in public, it he's been just kind of regurgitating the same old thing. Lost the election, rah rah rah, and all like that good stuff. So it's good to see that he's got new talking points.
So
Listen, but
what's kind of the theme?
yeah,
Just wondering
yeah.
what's
Sorry,
the theme of what kind of he's talking about. Oh yeah.
I really, really don't like that camera angle. I
Okay.
really don't. It's just a bad, it just seems to be a bad angle. Or maybe it's the camera itself. Oh,
How'd you
shit.
learn to hang from the ceiling upside down?
Yeah, that didn't work.
Mm,
It's the way that like every time I look at the phone, it's when it's this way, it's like I'm looking at the ceiling.
oh
It's
dear. Okay.
yeah. So it's not, I'm actually like, I feel like I'm not looking you in the eye. It's like, yeah, right now I'm looking at the phone, but look where my eyes are, it's like I'm looking at the something else. But then when I look over here,
Okay.
I know that it seems like I'm looking at the phone, but I'm not.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
annoying.
Okay.
anyways, maybe nobody will notice. So, anyways, he's talking about comebacks. Just from like the 5 minutes that I watched, it's been mostly about coming back stronger, coming back better. And just like, wow, I was like, that's a different take. That's a new one, and coming out strong. Like he's like roaring like a lion. It's a little nuts, but yeah, he's it's like he's got his second wind. But this whole thing is playing out exactly the way it's supposed to be playing out. And I know that sounds ridiculous, and I meant to clean up my notes, but we I did do the calculations for how long the Son of Man's ministry lasted. And man, I nailed it down within 3 days. And basically what I did is, I figured, well, they've got to be specific points that actually mean something. And the Urantia book does date them. Yay, but it's not easy to find. So basically, and truthfully, I was like astounded that it actually sort of does play out like Q. Okay, so what I did is I found the date for when he started, for when I figured, okay, what would be a good day that you would say everything started? And that would have to be when the Son of Man was baptized. That's really when it all started. That's when he got his memories back. That's like everything that he suspected about himself was confirmed on that day. He suspected that he was like, some crazy superhuman thing, maybe the creator of the universe, but that probably seemed a little, in his mind. He didn't want to go there. But after the baptism, it wasn't a question mark anymore. He knew who he was. He could speak Saturnalia. He could speak the language of Nebadon. So he knew who he was now, because now he could talk to everybody any time that he wanted to, not only humans, but the celestials as well. So yeah, I would say that would be a beginning. So then you got that date. And that date was January 14th, AD 26. So 026. So January 14th, he was baptized. And April 4th, AD 30 is when they had made the decision to kill him, regardless of the outcome of the trial. They wanted him dead, and everything after that was to make sure that he was going to die. So I found that date, and I was like, well, it's not the day that he died, but it's the day that it was like these people had decided that this was going to happen. A decision was made. And that's what broke the covenant, the Abraham covenant with the Jews. And
Yes.
and then the actual public teaching didn't happen until February 26, AD 27, over a year later. So that's when the public ministry started. So in that year, he trained the apostles. And then private teachings, as near as I could figure, went on for 364 days.
Mm.
So it might be more, it might be less. And then somewheres, uh, and yeah, and then also there was some things were happening in and around January, but I wouldn't say that they were public speakings. It was like they were kind of going around visiting people that they were familiar with, people that they knew, and they talked to them and stayed with them and ministered with them. So they started out with people that they were familiar with, and then they started going out and talking to people that they didn't know. And going out and talking to people that they didn't know started around February 26th. And then you add all that up, and what we got is we got Q was active for 1,138 days. And going through all the calculations, I came up with 1,136 days.
Mm.
And I'm just like, oh, wow, that's really close.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 403 days from inauguration to when Q started posting.
Mm.
And that's like about the same amount of time taken to educate the apostles. And I was like, wow, that is a lot of similarity. There's just a lot of close coincidences there. And yeah, to nail it down
Mm-hmm.
that close was pretty, yeah, that kind of set me back in my chair. And I was like, wow, okay. So there's that. And when you look at what has been happening on a national and world stage, it's like everybody got fired up for the 4 years with Trump. Then Trump embarrassed everybody at Capitol Hill. And then people went home pissed off at Trump when really it's like you should be pissed off at yourself.
Mm.
Because remember what the Son of Man did is like all these people were following him and not his teachings. And he
Mm-hmm.
just like shattered everything. It's like just destroyed everything. The apostles were shocked because it's like we just spent like 2 years building this all up and you just like destroy it overnight. And the Son of Man explained to them, it's like, hey, they were not here because they were hungry for spiritual food. They were here because they were hungry in their bellies.
Mm.
So fuck that shit. They can go home. The ones that want to learn something can stay. The ones who don't want to learn anything can get the fuck out of here. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them. Truthfully, it's like, why do you want? Because I mean, stupid people hold smart people back, and that's the truth. I mean, I grew up in a school where it's like mixed classroom. I mean, we had a guy that was like mentally retarded in our class. All that served to do was just fuck up the rhythm of the class because you'd get a rhythm going in the class, questions be going around, we'd be reading stuff, and all of that, g'day. And you're just like, boom, all the energy's gone out of the classroom and you don't get it back. And the rest of and it's just like, and that's every day, all day. I mean, I loved it once I got to college and you were there with people that wanted to learn because then you could just be like, ask anybody in the room, hey, can you give me a hand with this? And of course they're going to help because they want you to help them later. A lot of quid pro quo. Anyways, back to the thing. So I see January 6th as Trump just saying, fuck all yous, and just wrecked it all, just destroyed it all, because he wanted to get rid of the seed that fell on the shallow soil, or the black pilled people. He wanted to get rid of it. I mean, I
So
already got, yeah, he already
he
got rid of it.
intentionally did some stuff that could have, like my one friend I keep telling you about, that's rabid anti-Trump from the day he learned he existed. He did. I wonder if Trump didn't deliberately do, that and some other things, that he planted seeds that these people could grasp onto and say, he incited a riot, he did this, he's a terrorist, he blah, 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 blah.
And that's exactly right.
Red herring, or, whatever, to put all this stuff out for people to pick up according to how they saw through their goggles. He set out things according to the polarization of the, red pill, blue pill, black pill.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, and it's like I suspected it from the beginning. I think if you go back in our talks, I'm pretty sure I said something similar to that, and I cited the Son of Man's story as well, because it's like it's right there in your face. And now with things happening, how much time has passed, everything that has happened in between time, and now this rally, like I said, I only got like a 5-minute glimpse of it, but I felt the energy immediately. And I was just like, whoa. I was like, that's different, because I've watched the other ones from January 6th, all very low energy, almost like he was a whining baby. And it's just like, oh, is this what we're going to have to deal with? And so, yeah, I think it was all done on purpose as optics. Because while he was whining about the election, I'll guarantee you there was shit going on and behind the scenes. And these people are stupid as fuck. Like, I forget just how stupid these people are. I really do. Because, I mean, I think I give them too much. Like, they're smart. Okay, they're smart. But they're that stupid smart where they know what they know, and that's all that they know.
Materialistic smart.
Yeah. And
they don't have a spiritual. This guy's a total atheist. That I'm, again, to pick on my friend here, but anyway, go ahead.
No,
you get the idea.
You actually brought up a good point. Okay, that is actually, there's two types of intelligence. There's materialistic, atheistic intelligence, and then there's spiritual intelligence. Two different things. My goal, and it's probably your goal too, is to find a way to bring these two things together, and just to have shit make sense in both worlds, so that we can say that, okay, there is a scientific explanation to God, but to have that extra little thing, that extra spiritual wisdom, where you can be like, okay, yes, I can follow the science to a certain point, and I can prove God. But at some point, I have to make a spiritual leap, hopefully derived from wisdom and experience, to the point to where I must accept that God is a personality. The science will not show the personality of God. Only your faith and your spirituality can show you the personality of God. That's it. That's the only way to do it. So atheists can study nature, and they can sit there and say, oh yeah, there is some intelligent source out there that controls the universe. We know that. It's like, but it's not like God, like, God of the Hebrew Bible, or God that has any control. It's just a computer program executing its commands. That's the atheistic point of view. Very materialistic. But if you make that extra leap in faith and spirituality, you begin to see the personality of God in the universe. And once you begin to see that and you accept that that personality is there, boom, Father has no problem talking to you. But you've got to understand that until you acknowledge him as a person and as someone that can relate to you and understand what's going on around you, then you will never be able to have any meaningful conversation with the Father. That's, it basically, you're talking into a microphone and it's being broadcast out into the universe. Doesn't really get Father's attention. There's billions of beings praying to him all the time. But until you make that leap to where you bring it onto a personal level, it's the communication is, tenuous at best. But once you make that leap and accept the reality, then the communication becomes a lot closer to where you get told more and shown. Well, actually, I shouldn't say told. People who say that God talks to them makes me roll my eyes, because truthfully, I have never had God talk to me, ever. I've had sort of conversations with the thought adjuster, but the thought adjuster he's only got one goal in mind, and that is getting me to the point to where we can fuse and become one. That's his goal. That's his thing. So outside of that, he's not very helpful about anything. And other than, guide you, keep you alive long enough so that fusion can take place. That's definitely a priority. That's why you get hollered in the ear when danger comes. And thought adjuster's going to tell you, turn left, turn right, and all you got to do is pay the fuck attention, do exactly what he says, and you'll drive between two transport trucks, across the back of another one, and into a lane and safe. Or else you would have been fucked and crushed by 3 transport trucks. Yeah, that really happened. And all I heard was the voice screaming, go left, turn right, brake, gas. And I just followed instructions. That's all I did. I didn't know what the fuck else to do. All I knew is that I was screwed. And drove right out of it. I looked in the rearview mirror and I'm just like, did I just fucking do that? And then the voice back in my head, it wasn't just you. I was like, oh yeah, thanks, bud. So there's stuff like that can happen all the time. But when people say God talks to them, I laugh, because it's ridiculous. And what God mostly does is show you holographic images. That's mostly, it's the only way God can really communicate with us. I mean, his voice would tear our brains to shreds. But because those holographic images can tie themselves to an emotion, emotions create words, because that's how we are as human beings. And so words can come through a picture. But unfortunately, pictures and images can be subjective as well. This is why everything that I see, I'm just like, oh, okay, interesting. And I can't always put it into words. And some of it, well, a lot of it, I don't share, because it's just, it would take me hours just to get you to a point to where you could understand one small paragraph. And that's the unfortunate reality of the universe, is that it's complicated. Everything is connected to something else, regardless. It's all connected. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And it's so when you're trying to take out one little piece of the puzzle, there's just so much complexity tied to that. And this is why when when you're told things, you're actually showing things, is because there's more information there. All the information is there. You're going to extract what you can handle at that point in time. And because some people can see or understand more, God shows the same thing to everybody all the time. It's the same fucking thing. It does not change. The only thing that changes is your perception, or how much wisdom you have garnered to be able to extract that information from that vision. It's the same vision every time for everybody. I mean, but we just all see it from a different perspective, but it's the same fucking thing. And go on an ayahuasca trip. When you come back from an ayahuasca trip and you talk about all the critters that you met, guess what? Everybody else that went before you met the same critters. What a freak show that is. I mean, what the hell's up with that? They got names for all these critters and everything. So yeah, everybody, for thousands of years, people have met the exact same critters every time on ayahuasca. Exact same. They just see them a little differently, but they all use the same name because the name has been programmed into the morphogenic field through that particular tribe. Then when they interact with the ayahuasca, they're bringing those morphogenic beings into your reality. And the ayahuasca just opens up the door so that you can communicate with them. And then, have a good time. Don't be scared. Nothing can hurt you unless you want it to. That's just the way it is. So yeah, I'd say. Go ahead.
So I've been. We talked about you go as far as you're ready to go, or you see what you're ready to see. I told you I had read through all of Q's drops, 4,953 of them or whatever. I think last year I did that. And then I've started now going through the ones, I don't know how many now have answers to them, or basically extra information explaining what the stuff is about. I'm on about number 4 of that. So I started doing one of those each day because it's it's like another it's brain load of information. So it's like, okay, yeah, now I'm ready to do that after having gone through the first, big, huge thing, reading all of that stuff once, and then I go back and read the drop and then click the answers and then read, it'll have a line from the drop and then explain in a few sentences or a paragraph what, a sentence or a paragraph, what it's talking about. It's like, oh, okay, interesting.
No, well, that's just like, that's all the layers that went in to the QAnon psyop, or I shouldn't say QAnon, the Q psyop. The mainstream media has hijacked the term QAnon, and yeah, it's disgusting. But I guess it's as good a description. But everything the mainstream media says is, about QAnon is going to be a lie. Guaranteed. They are so scared about this QAnon thing that they just, because they didn't, QAnon was not factored in to their plans for world domination. They factored in whistleblowers like, like Edward Snowden or Seth Rich. I mean, they factored all that in, but they know how to take care. They know how to deal with that. I mean, holy shit. I mean, look at what happened to Hillary emails. Nobody's talking about that anymore. Nobody's talking about Podesta and, pizza. So it's like, what the hell happened there? Nobody's talking about, uh, uh, child trafficking, adrenochrome, all of that stuff. Nobody's talking about that stuff. And it's like,
I've noticed in the media when they talk about a thing in such a way that you feel like you know about it and don't want to, they make you not want to look at it. They make you not want to look at it. They talk about it in such a way that your impulse is, I don't want to take a look at that, like the QAnon stuff, for example. And they have this tone of voice, and they have all this. It's whenever the Canadian media mentions a gun or a firearm or something, you just pay attention to how they the inflection they have on that and how your reaction is
yeah,
to that. They have all this psychological. They use psychology on you, and you need to be able to notice that and then decide. Just notice that they're trying to do that, and then decide what's going on. So
this is why I think that, I mean, we would have a much better society of information if we could have more citizen journalism going on.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I've said this before. CBC should be a platform where citizen journalists can put up content. And, and then that way, you're not really, you're actually seeing real people doing the news. I mean, to me, that's all I watch now. I don't watch mainstream news. I watch real people, tell me news. And, and then they can give me links. I mean, they've done all the legwork. I just have to follow the links that they, that they provide. And then I can do some follow up on my own. And, then I can decide whether or not I want to believe what they're saying. Because in the end, right, in the absence of hard, cold facts or repeatable experiments, most of what we accept as reality is what we believe. I mean, how many things in your reality can you put to an experiment, to a test, to see if it's repeatable in the true scientific sense of things? Not a hell of a lot, really, when you think about it. So, most of what we perceive as reality is our belief. So I tend to suspend my belief, for a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, it's actually saved the father's personality. There's not a hell of a lot more beyond that I believe. I mean, everything to me is like suspicious just because I don't trust reality. You got the Mandela effect going on. I mean, you can't trust reality at all. I was driving out the end of Victoria. Was it Victoria? No, I was driving on East Dudney, and I swear to fuck, the buildings were different. Actually, there was like a week. This was like 3 times. I'm like looking at shit, and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? And these are on like streets that I drive all the time. I'm like, did I seriously not notice that before? Or did that just fucking appear in my reality?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I wondered, how many versions of us have been interacting in these things. It's like, okay, there's these two. It's like, I don't know, because if you follow these sorts of things like alternate realities and different timelines and things to their logical conclusion, you know, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
I've often thought the same thing. It's like, man,
How many versions of us have interacted in just, you know, just this, what, the first season of our show?
And you know what? I've often thought to myself, I bet you that's what epochs are for. Because right now, I've said this before, it's like, I feel like all the timelines are coming together, and all the other versions of me, I'm either melding with them or they are melding with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it feels like. And I think, like, with all the changes that I have noticed around me, I'm thinking that I've shifted a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in sync with another version of me, but we're like so close on the timelines that we don't even know there's a difference between us. Almost like fusing with your thought adjuster. Huh. Interesting. And I mean, I felt like I started feeling deja vus, but back when I was a kid. But back then, it would be like years between deja vus. Like, you know, and I'd just be like, oh, okay. And, but there were enough of them that I would remember. And as I came up through the 90s, they be for a point there for a while in the early 90s, I was like doing deja vus almost on a monthly basis. And then they slowed down. And then there was like mostly nothing for like a long time. And then a few deja vus. And then even coming up through 2012, I would say there was probably maybe a deja vu, maybe once every 6 months. And now I've probably had like 20 deja vus just since January. It's like, wow, that's too messed up. Actually, I had one that was really vivid. I was at a golf course doing some work for them, and the equipment I was working on, I'm like, I was only 15 minutes into this job, and I'm looking around and just where everything was at, and I was like, I had a full-on vision of this whole thing. This whole thing. And I'm just like, well, what the hell? And I stopped thinking that, you know, I'm supposed to be there for a reason, because there doesn't seem to be any reason for me to be in these places. At least none that I can think of. I show up, I do my job, I interact with the people that work there usually, because I'm a sociable person, so I always interact and have conversations, and then I do up my bill and I hit the road. I'm done and I'm gone. And I'm just like, so there, that was a huge deja vu, like almost like a minute's worth of memory. I mean, most of these things are only like maybe 10 seconds worth of memory. This had to be almost a minute. I was like, wow, I was blown away. I mean, it was like everything.
What was notable to me is, and I've had deja vu experiences sort of like you described, but there's a specific phrase that I would encounter in a book, and then years later I'd be reading another book and it's like this, and it's like it's either the same phrase or it's so close, or it's a sequence of words that trigger it, separate from the experience I'm getting of reading the story, which can be very good and very intense sometimes. But that combination of words and that, it's just it operates on another. There's an extra component to it that's not necessarily related to the book or the story. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Like, that's weird.
You hit another layer. The Urantia book
Mm-hmm.
was like that. When I read the Urantia book, it's like all it did was put into words what I was already thinking.
Yep.
Like for me, that's really what that book did. It's like, whoa, this is like every fucking thing that I have ever postulated. And
Yeah,
it's like,
I listened to Ram Dass's original Be Here Now talks from 1969, and he's saying, he explains beautifully how a person gets, they go to a seminar, they go to a lecture, whatever. He explains beautifully how they get whatever they get out of it. It's not the words, it's the vibration coming from the presenter,
yeah,
meeting the, how the receiver is tuned, the person in the audience, they're at a point where they can hear certain things. He could be talking about anything.
yeah,
There's a, you know, Ram Dass talks about spiritual stuff. There's a guy who does the combine clinic and seeding tool clinic at the implement dealer, and you go to see him. My mother, who grew up on a farm, but she's not necessarily as technically minded as we are, she can understand what he's talking about when he says how to set the cylinder or the rotor and the this and that and how it threshes out and why you want it this way but not the other way. And it's yeah, it's the most subtle thing, and it's not easy to describe. It's, the words don't mean anything, it's everything else, including
you
where you're at about.
you just described what would be a master teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I've had two of these master teachers in my lifetime. Maybe a third, or maybe the third one I actually made him a master because he had the potential. I'm pretty sure I made him a master. Anyways, these master teachers, one of them was an English teacher in grade 8 and 9 for sure. I might have had him in grade 7. And he would speak about Shakespeare, and he would just be saying words, but you understood what he was saying
Yes.
all the time. It made he made Shakespeare so easy. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I did really well in his class. I didn't even have to study because, I mean, he was a master teacher. Like, he was basically, while he was talking, I was getting a download from his brain on the current subject. And that just
Mm-hmm.
information just went into me, and and everybody did well in his class because he was a master
Yep.
teacher. He was giving the information. People were like, we as students, we were downloading it in real time for straight from him. And then when it came to like later on, we could bring that information up. I think that this is how master teachers are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what we've got for teachers in like the public school system, they're not teachers. They're just job holders. That's all they are. And I mean, I've had some shitty job holders. Like, these people should not have even been near children. I mean, just not at all. They were just such horrible people. Oh, waving to people. This is
I'm waving. Yeah, just another guy, another fellow start is somebody. Yeah, it's I think a cousin of mine, my father's cousin or something. He just popped up.
No, what that reminded me of is
Hmm?
earlier in the week, somebody had posted on in my chat on Facebook, and they posted a video of the building coming down in Florida.
Right.
Yeah, which
Yeah, I saw that.
Jon McAfee is alleged to have had a condo in that building.
Hmm.
And I didn't see the blue sparks out the bottom, but I did see the aftermath. And the first thing that goes through my mind is uh, platform weapon,
Hmm.
orbital platform weapon.
Okay.
And I was like, what the hell? Why did they need that building down?
Did you see the video of the collapse?
I did see the video of collapse. The person that sent the message said that they noticed blue flashes coming out
Yeah.
the
I
basement.
noticed some too at various levels and so on. What mostly impressed me about it and the World Trade Center for uh, controlled demolition. I would have said, or what it looked like.
Yeah, oh yeah. It
Because you'd think they sometimes if something random happens like that, it'll tip over or part of it will collapse or something like that.
I would say that that building, the way that it come down, bullshit luck.
Hmm.
That's because, and the reason why it came down mostly straight is because the floors that were collapsing underneath it were still attached to the main structure.
Yep.
The
And
whole
I'm not
building
saying it
didn't come
was
down.
a controlled demolition process. It just appeared to be
It's appeared to be, and
similar
that's
to buildings I've seen destroyed by controlled demolition.
yeah, but it just looked controlled because it was still attached to the main building.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
everything sort of avalanched. It didn't topple. It more or less avalanched down,
Yep.
and that is to me that seems like a weapon did that, a orbital
Mm-hmm.
weapon. They say HARP can do it from through the atmosphere. I'm probably more inclined to lean towards atmospheric weapon than a orbital weapon, because an orbital weapon, they, as long as the space program has been in existence, they have not been able to get weapons up into space. Every time that they have tried, there's been an accident or the launch gets delayed.
Yeah, I
And
remember what Reagan and Star Wars in the 80s, right? We wanted to put
oh yeah,
satellites in space to destroy foreign ICBMs or whatever if they were launched or something like that. And I hadn't, you hear about it from time to time, just a little bit, and you don't hear anything else.
that was Reagan's way. Yeah, this is fucked up. Reagan knew about that there were communications between extraterrestrial, and we're not talking little green men. We're talking, we live in a mostly human universe. Okay. So these were other humanoids. And yeah, there's like little greens in there too, but these were not the main players that he was looking for. Um, what the whole Star Wars program was essentially a red herring. Reagan was doing this so that he could provoke a response from the benevolent extraterrestrials.
Hmm.
And because he wanted to meet with them, but he kept on getting blocked from being able to meet with them. You're like, he's the president, he should be able to meet with anybody. Not necessarily. CIA has the power, so does the FBI. If you haven't figured that out by now, start doing some research in the news about the FBI and what they're doing right now. I mean, it's corruption to the core. It's disgusting. And CIA, well, need I say anymore? And so, anyways, he was being blocked from these extraterrestrials, but he wanted them to contact him, but there was no way for him to reach out to them. So he started this whole Star Wars project, weapons in space. He figured that should get their attention. And yes, he did get his meeting. And what they told him at the meeting was not what he wanted to hear. He wanted them to help. He thought they should help. He wanted them to help. He thought that they should help. They were like, no, sir, we cannot do that. You must be free to find your own path, to make your own choices. Mm-hmm. To which Reagan was like, then why the fuck are you here? Oh, we're here to make sure that you survive long enough to make your final choice.
Right.
Reagan was like, what? They're like, yeah, that's all we're here to do, guy. We're just here to keep you from blowing each other up. So no weapons in space. We're only going to shoot them down. Okay? It'll just be a waste of resources. Put your resources somewhere else. Not an answer he wanted. And Reagan, after that little meeting, came out patriot, America First agenda. He had the original America First agenda. Did they let him implement it? Fuck no. He got some things done. But this is what he wanted the benevolent extraterrestrials, this is what he wanted them to help him with the America First agenda. But they were like, nope, we can't help you. This is your planet. We're just here to keep you from fucking yourselves up. Now, many years later, we got Trump with an America First agenda. How the fuck did he pull that off? He did it without help from the aliens. I'll guarantee you that. The extraterrestrials didn't help him. I think that he has some advantages over a lot of other people. I mean, there's a lot of weird shit around Trump. I mean, his uncle collected up Nikola Tesla's shit after he died. Well, okay. I mean, it was him and his team. His team. These were not strangers to him. These were his people. They collected all the shit. They put it together. They cataloged it. The official report says nothing of value. We're talking about Nikola Tesla. If you believe that little slice of bullshit, you'll believe anything. We're talking Nikola Tesla. You mean to tell me you went through all of this shit and you're telling me that out of the thousands of papers that they found in his apartment, hotel room, really, nothing of value? They just lie right to our face. Nothing of value. Nikola Tesla, arguably the most intelligent man to have ever walked the surface of this planet. And nothing of value. They said the same thing about Einstein too. Well, they showed us some stuff. But yeah. So yeah, we got Trump's uncle that helped pack up Nikola Tesla's shit. And then we have the Trump family. I mean, billionaires. They were smart. They diversified. Then you have The Adventures of Baron Trump, a novel written in the 19th century about a time traveler named Baron Trump. What the fuck's up with that? I mean, what? I mean, there's really only there's only a couple of explanations there. One could be that Baron Trump was named after the book, or the book was named after Baron Trump. Take your pick. Nikola Tesla, time travel. Okay. Y'all realize that Nikola Tesla was involved in the Philadelphia experiment? The one that was where they were trying to cloak ships?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla, they were working off of Nikola Tesla's notes for that experiment. You never heard of this one?
I've heard of the experiment. I didn't know Nikola. I'm actually going to look up his lifespan because I'm trying to remember, because he lived a little later than we think. Like, he died just before like World War II or just after World War II?
After World War II.
Yeah, so he was around
sure
at
he
Einstein.
Died.
I'm pretty sure longer than.
I'm pretty sure he died in 49.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. So yeah, he lived through the war. And here's something else nobody knows. Not too many people know this. Nikola Tesla designed a weapon to protect the Earth from any off-world invasion.
Let me guess. The media calls it his death ray, right?
Yes.
And what he, and they say, oh, he developed this powerful weapon, and they conveniently forgot to explain why.
That's because they can't.
They thought he was.
Oh, well, no, I mean, it was for.
They conveniently forgot to not scare us with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's useless. Because the plans were broken up into 6 or 9 pieces, and they were sent to different nations. United States has got one. Russia's got one. China's got a piece. Japan's got a piece. Germany's got a piece. Australia's got a piece. I'm not sure if Canada has a piece or not. Great Britain has a piece of it. I think even the Vatican might have a piece of it. But he sent this out. He sent pieces of it everywhere. It's scattered across the earth. But I'll guarantee you, probably as of today, Great Britain has got more than just their piece. I'll almost guarantee that they have. They have no doubt stolen it from another country. Probably they got Australia's. Definitely got Canada's. So Great Britain has got a lot of the pieces. The U.S. has got more than one piece. They've collected their pieces. They wanted the Russian piece. They've got the Japanese piece. And I'm pretty sure they got the Chinese piece. But they don't have the Russian piece. Nobody's got the Russian piece. The Russians have the Russian piece. And the Americans have their piece, and Great Britain has their original piece, and they're not giving it up either. Germany might still have their piece, but not likely. France definitely doesn't have their piece anymore, and the Vatican likely doesn't have their piece. So yeah,
1856 to 1943, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
Is his lifespan. So 1850, yeah. So
he died just before the end of the World War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
kind of makes you wonder about Foo Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that building in Florida, let's circle back. That building in Florida coming down. Um, Allegedly, John McAfee had a space in that building. And it just so happened that McAfee died this week.
Hmm.
So, and that's what, and John McAfee promised that if anything were to happen to him, 31 terabytes of information that certain people do not want see the light of day will be released.
Mm-hmm.
And well, Code Monkey says that it'll probably, if his dead man switch has been tripped, it will probably be about 30 days before the information would start to surface through the cryptocurrencies.
Hmm.
He suggested that people look at a certain portion of code in the blockchain, and this is where you're likely to see John McAfee's information begin to show up. So if the trip code has not been tripped, that means John McAfee is still alive and more than likely in the hands of the Alliance. And so, anyways, this is the level of stupidity that we're dealing with. These people whose information may get released from John McAfee's dead man switch. John McAfee had rumored that the server with the information on it is in that building in Florida. And the level of stupidity that these people have, they actually believe that they could destroy the server because they couldn't find it. So they believe that it was built into a wall somewhere. So they can't go tear an open wall. So let's just take out that whole corner of the building instead and destroy the server. These people are stupid on a level that I can't even imagine. I mean, you think you're going to destroy information that has been programmed into a blockchain just by destroying the server that John McAfee uses to mine cryptocurrency? That's not how this shit works. I mean, yeah, I just like, wow, these people are fucking stupid to believe that by destroying John McAfee's mining computer that they will destroy the 31 terabytes of information. Wow. Wow, wow. It was like Hillary Clinton believing that she was destroying her emails by taking a hammer to her BlackBerry. These people are stupid on a level that is unimaginable.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have the perfect way to educate. Let's take a person who believes by destroying their BlackBerry, they destroy you go and get a new BlackBerry of the same or whatever that would sign in. You have them watch you sign in to your account and watch the emails reappear and get a picture of the look on their face.
oh, fuck yeah. It's like, they're just stupid. And
That's like saying that welding your mailbox door shut would stop the bills from being assessed on you or something like that. I don't know what analogy, but
I mean, you would think they would have figured it out by now. Anything that hits the fucking wire stays on the wire.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That just period. Period.
I got
If
I
it
got a, I got a, I got a name for a farcical movie or something. Was it What Happens in Vegas Stays on YouTube?
Oh man, better yet, TikTok.
Yeah. But on a more serious note, Crow, you mentioned the alliance. Talk briefly about that, because just just mention the alliance, or tell me about the alliance.
The alliance has been around as long as organized
Okay.
Jewism has been
Okay.
around.
Okay. Because
And
when you what tripped that when you said it was, I just read in the third or fourth Q post when I was looking at the answers. It mentioned a military civilian alliance.
yes, this is
And then
okay.
many
Yes.
years ago in my novel, the main character is the founder of something called, it's called the Delta Alliance, but the alliance name is in there. And I was listening to Kevin Trudeau talking about, he and 30 other billionaires were allegedly breaking loose from the Illuminati and so on. And I don't know if he mentioned the word alliance, but I got that idea, like, okay, that's if the alliance that I came up with in my book were real, it would be something like that, a bunch of rich and powerful good guys.
Not quite rich and powerful. Okay, the
But
alliance.
yeah, so no, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I ran my ego for a moment. I'm going to let you speak now.
The alliance uh, was at first a pretty loose organization, and which is kind of what it was always meant to be, because they're following the teachings, the real teachings of the Son of Man. The alliance
Right.
was originally founded by the apostles, not all of them. Mark seeing the importance of them, even the Alfonso twins, they did see the importance of this alliance. And so they formed a separate subgroup within the church, under, like, separate from Peter's influence, which eventually became the Catholic Church in the Vatican. And they always stayed with the church, but they had a separate agenda to help humanity along. And they worked the same way the Son of Man worked, and how the Son of Man had taught them to work. And that is subtly, and in personal ways and in personal lives. They were never an organization that would get involved politically. They would only work at the grassroots level. This is why they survived for the 2,000 years, is because they mostly were ignored. They had following in just about everywhere, because they were staying at a grassroots level. And so they would help the widow whose son would grow up and be a great politician or a great leader in the community. They trained themselves to see the greatness within, so that they could spot it and nurture it so that it got released onto the world. A lot of great leaders were only great leaders because of the alliance. So they did this
So
for a
in a
long
way,
time.
not factually, but in a similar vein to, I'm thinking Da Vinci Code here. Not not anything like that, but the sort of the essence of that. There was this subgroup that did stuff.
Yes,
And
yes, like
I
this.
don't know if
Yeah,
I'm probably sullying their name by even mentioning the Da Vinci Code, that there was
yes.
this extra thing. So
Yeah,
whatever.
no, it's just it
It's
was
not.
just but they stayed well under the radar for like thousands of years. They were infiltrated into the into the Knights Templar. They're infiltrated in the Vatican, and they knew who they were, but they weren't there. They also understood that they weren't there to disrupt the whole establishment, because that's not what Jesus did. They were there to find the good people and help them to be brave. That's what they were doing through all of history. That's all they were doing. It's only been within the last 100 years, maybe a little bit, no, I'd say within the last, probably since the end of World War II, and I think there's a reason for that, they have begun to organize themselves in greater numbers, and they had the goal of getting good people in high positions in certain governments, and they have been doing it, and they have had setbacks because they refuse to use the same tactics as evil. They refuse to. They follow the teachings of the Son of Man without question. It's only been, and I shit you not, it has only been within the last 10 years or so that the alliance has shifted and become more involved in how government operates. Not so much politics, but in how government operates. What changed 10 years ago? Well, I told this story before about a young lady that was awakened through torture, and her torturers suddenly found out that they were dealing with the creator of the universe. And yeah, she found out at the same time. So it was all a surprise for everybody. And but she had suspected it for quite some time. And she came into her own. And well, being the reincarnated version of the Son of Man, daughter of man, I guess, she's probably going to know how to find the alliance. And she's probably going to know what to say to them, that they are just going to fucking drop down to their knees and their minds would be fucking blowing to have like the Son of Man stand before them. Can you fucking imagine being the leader of the alliance, knowing the history, the true history for the last 2,000 years? Because because your organization documented it all. And then all of a sudden you're standing right there in front of the Son of Man 2,000 years at the other end. Yeah, you're damn right they shit their pants. And yeah, you're damn right they believed her, because she knew what to say to them. Because you got to remember, the people that are at the core of the alliance, they know all the history, all of it, for the last 2,000 years. And because it's their job to know it, because they have to teach, they have to pass those teachings on to the next generation. That is how they've done it for the last 2,000 years. They would teach like 100 different talented students with the potential to be the organizer, and whichever one out of that 100 was accepted as the de facto leader because of their wisdom and their skill, their brevity, and just their spirituality, that's how you ended up in charge of this organization. You can see why there was no way to infiltrate this organization, all for 2,000 years? There was no way to, because there was no election. There was no like orders being given around to like, once you were trained in the Alliance, basically your job was just to go out into the world and find good people and make sure that they got in the right place so that they could become a better person. That's all you were doing. And you've been like trained and you've got the confidence that nobody is getting in your way. People don't understand that when the Son of Man taught his apostles everything, he taught them everything, even how to talk to people, how to manipulate people, how to get people on your side, but do it in such a way that they have an understanding that they're doing something for themselves. Mm-hmm. And so those things were so important to these people that to teach 100 people every generation to make sure that this information survived, because they are witnessing a world that is forgetting. You're damn right. And they followed those secret teachings for the last 2,000 years directly from the creator of the universe. The Urantia book won't even tell us the shit that the Son of Man told the apostles. The best the Urantia book would tell us is that the lesson went on for 5 more hours as the Son of Man taught the apostles greater secrets. That's it. That's all they'll tell us. They won't tell us another fucking thing. And you know what? It's probably a good thing they don't.
Yeah, it was on a need-to-know basis.
Yep. This is why, well, I mean, can you imagine a person from the medieval times as we know it having knowledge of shit today? And not just the electronic knowledge, not the information knowledge. No. Throw all that shit away. Just give somebody in medieval times our engineering knowledge and techniques and the math that we use today, calculus. Give it to them almost a full 1,000 years before Newton discovered it. Yeah. You'll see some shit happen, and you'll see one man take over the world. It ain't that hard to take over the world when you're the one-eyed man that can see and the rest of the world is blind. Yep. Not that hard at all. So yeah, we didn't want that information out there back then because it would have been bad. I mean, even information as simple as understanding that a drop of water off the end of a pin will always equal 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter. Every time. You drop a drop of water off the end of a pin onto a hard, non-absorbent surface, it will always equal a centimeter. Always. That is powerful knowledge, because with that, you have everything. Everything. You can measure, you can create numbers, you can set up a system that everybody has to follow. Oh yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know it already, the pyramids in Egypt are all in metric, based on that 1 drop of water at 1 centimeter. They're all metric. All of them. Messed up. I know. They think I found it amusing that at one point they thought that the Egyptians derived the meter from the speed of light because they found the speed of light calculation within the pyramid. But but then, and I found it fascinating. But then when I learned that the Egyptians also used a drop of water off the end of a pin onto a hard, non-absorbent surface, and they used that as their datum everywheres for 1 centimeter, I suddenly understood why the calculation for the speed of light ended up in the pyramid code. Because you came at it from the other side. Instead of going directly to the measurement of light, the measurement of light is based on distance, centimeters, plus time per second. Well, what you find out is that the Egyptians used this centimeter to build everything, including time measurements. And because of that, you could actually accidentally make a backwards approach to light, because you're dealing with the spin of the earth, how long light had, because the Egyptians were measuring it all. They were measuring like, when the sun has already gone over the horizon, why is there still sunlight in the sky? Mm-hmm. And then I'm watching, and then they timed the second that the sun would disappear, and then like a second or two later, the sun would reappear above the horizon. Mm. I've seen it all the time. I grew up on the ocean. Used to see that shit all the time. It was almost like there was 2 suns in the sky. It's really cool, because you got the sun reflecting off the water, and then the real sun is reflecting off the water, which is also reflecting off the sky, all at the same time. And it's like, it's cool. There's 2 suns in the sky, one above the other. You don't think the Egyptians didn't notice that shit? And then they were using, and they also figured out how to use the centimeter to calculate volume. And basically, what they did is they built a little box, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So 1 centimeter cube box with the top open. And they painstakingly filled that box with 1 drop off the end of a pin at a time. And once they calculated how many drops it took to fill 1 cubic centimeter of space, you're already there. Once you have a two-dimensional measurement, now they had a cubed dimension of measurement, you're set. You can do anything now. After that, it's just angles. That's all it is. And the Egyptians got real good at them real fast. But yeah, interesting stuff, that's for sure. And and then we also have UFO disclosure coming up too. If it hadn't happened already, I might have missed it. It was such a dumb thing.
Another one, or the one we were talking about earlier? Or is there a series of them, or what? Because we've been talking about UFO disclosure a couple of times. I don't know if there's a single set of documents or if there's several
There's
events
supposed to
going on or what?
be there was supposed to be this big, huge release from the Pentagon for UFO disclosure. And it was all hyped up on mainstream media. Everybody's excited, blah, blah, blah. It's a big nothing burger because, I mean, they haven't said anything that we already didn't know. The only real notable thing in the whole damn scenario is they're really insistent on having everybody know that they're not American secret space flying craft. They seem to be like that. That point seems to be driven home really hard, and it's just like, oh dear God. So if it's not American and you don't think it's Russian or Chinese, then what the fuck is it? So you're telling me that, okay, you're telling me that it's real, it's documented, you got footage, you got radar images, so you're telling me that it's all real. It's not US craft, okay, but it's not Chinese or Russian either. We don't know what it is. Well, if it's nobody on Earth, that only leaves one possibility. But they don't seem to want to say it. Why? And part of me thinks they're going to try to find a way to weaponize the whole UFO thing. But they can't. Because in all the history of documenting these UFOs, there really isn't anything that shows that they have openly been aggressive to the people on this planet. Now, individuals, yeah, I've read lots of stories where people have had some horrible encounters with things that they could not explain. But part of me thinks that it might have been horrible because you were overwhelmed by your own fear. Calm the fuck down. Enjoy. It's like, you know, if it hurts too much, then just take your consciousness and go. And so there's that. But there is nothing, there's no documentation that says that a unidentified flying object has come down and rained havoc down on civilians. There's nothing in the documentation. There is one incident they call it happened in California. I think it was Los Angeles. Anyways, it's a UFO incident. They said that, you know, they're being attacked and, you know, 200 and 300 and some odd, like thousands of bullets were being used, hundreds of witnesses witnessed to it. But in the end, when you follow through on that story, you find out that all the damage that was done in the area was all done by people panicking and being scared. And the military started opening fire on a unidentified flying object that they thought was a Japanese plane, and they started firing. And then they didn't stop. And then next thing you know, the next one started firing. The next thing you know, everybody's fucking firing. But there's no mention that the UFOs fired back.
So there's no documentation that we know of that says that UFOs are a threat to national security or anything. It's not there.
It's not there. And they've got the high ground. All you have to do, you want to fuck the people up on this planet? It's not that hard. Find a rock about the size of a bus and drop it through the atmosphere of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You will fuck up 1/3 of the planet. And if you do it right for maximum impact, you'll drop it somewhere in the Middle East, probably like Kazakhstan or something like that. And it will fuck up at least half the planet for like centuries. The other half will still be okay. That's the part that you clean up on. If I wanted to take, if I was a alien and I wanted this planet and I wanted to keep some of the people around to do the work for me, I'd drop 2 stones through the atmosphere, hitting Asia and Africa. I wouldn't worry about Europe because Europe will eat itself alive, and then come over to the North America, to the Americas, and this would be my home. Nice little sliver of land, easy to keep an eye on. I could set a couple of satellites up in orbit, watch this one continent, super easy. Hell, I could just decide to keep the South American continent. I've got a pinch point at Panama. I can keep all the eaters over there and only bring over the ones that I want to use. See, I can think evil thoughts too. But no, that's if you were an extraterrestrial, that's how you would do it. You don't need to bring lasers with you. You just need to bring 2 fucking rocks. That's it. Done. I mean, Samson did take down Goliath with a stone and a slingshot. But yeah. So no, in fact, what we do have for documentation on UFOs is that they have been keeping us from destroying ourselves ever since the atomic bomb was created. They really have. What? Do you think 350,000 people dying in an incident did not do something to the morphogenic field in this, in our sector, in Saturnalia? Are you kidding? Every planet in Saturnalia felt that. Every planet. It went all the way to Jerusalem. They knew exactly what the fuck we did as soon as we did it. That's how fast that energy travels. And yeah, they knew it. And why do you think the archangels were here? Right around that time. Archangels were sent. It's like, okay, these fuckers have played enough. It's time to reel them in, because you know you got to understand the whole game, this whole game of reality. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers. It's all about souls. Boom, boom, boom. Grow as many as you can. Not all of them will qualify for soul survival. But how do you get a whole bunch that are qualified for soul survival? You grow 10 billion souls. Guarantee you, out of that 10 billion, you're going to have 3 billion that are decent enough that they can go on to qualify. It's all a numbers game. All a numbers game. And plus, God, the absolute, still has iterations of his expression that must be played out in time and space. And so, and if that iteration does not fuse with a thought adjuster, it goes back to the absolute, and the absolute will express it in another being on another planet somewhere else. And then a thought adjuster can diffuse with that expression of the divine, of God, the absolute.
Okay.
I know it's
Okay.
messed up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we? I'm starting to wind down just a little bit, so maybe why don't we go ahead and leave it there for now? And I think we've got a. I think we've got a. We're on a roll for kind of the stuff we want to talk about. So next week we can continue right on with whatever else they can think up to show us.
Oh Jesus, God! There's like there's like a ton of stuff that has happened, but I mean to go through it all, I mean it probably wouldn't be much fun, but a
Yeah,
lot of
no. I mean,
stuff.
we'll focus on the highlights.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff did happen this week alone. A lot of stuff, and I think
Okay.
that trying to stay away from predictions, but the second Snowden, I think, has appeared, but it's they were not who I thought they were going to be.
I'll show you
And
here. I've got the Schumann resonance here. There's that one for. Let's see this one. Okay, yeah. It's wow. Let's see. What does that look like? Oh my gosh, off the chart. Wow. And there's that one. And how about that?
off the chart.
Okay.
Look at the angel frequency. Man, they're doing some work. They're doing
like
some work,
the one where
people.
the angel frequency broke. It's the top one, right? Broke down into the whatever the next one from the top or something. It's punched right through
The
that.
human frequency,
Yeah.
our consciousness, and then our angel consciousness, our consciousness, animal consciousness, plant consciousness, or planetary consciousness. But
that's cool. You look at them
planet,
enough time, you can
planetary.
read them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Everything, like, that's the other cool thing too. Plants and the earth. That's like, that is how earth that's how the earth spirit has its experience in reality, is through all the plants. Even bringing like plants into our home, that's an experience for the planet. It's like, don't think it is. I mean, you bring in a piece of fruit and you put it on your table. That fruit's not dead. If it was dead, you wouldn't eat it because it would be rotten. It's still alive. And through a morphogenic connection, it still has a connection to its parent tree. Those with eyes would see that thread coming off the stem of the apple and heading straight. Walls don't mean nothing. You just see it go through a wall, gone. But it has that connection. So the planet is picking up the vibrations of your vibrations. Negative, positive, constructive, constructive. Doesn't matter. It's experience you through that apple that's on the table, or that orange, or that banana, or the grape. Anything that you have in your house, plant, fruit that you're going to eat, if it has not been processed, it's still alive. And the earth is experiencing you through it. Even right up to the point
Everything
of
is
your
truly
digestive.
connected to everything else.
Hey,
Everything's
isn't that what
connected
we
to
started
everything
with?
else. Yep.
Didn't we start with that?
All right. We can end on it. All right, folks.
This
Thanks
is
for
Crow.
watching. And this is Peter. Peace out.
Peace out. Be good to each other. Bye-bye.